begs the question, what is the Democrat ongoing shutdown truly about? The sad truth, we believe, is that the Democrats intentionally shut down the government and are inflicting this pain on American citizens to try and demand free health care for illegal aliens. Of course, this is an indefensible and truly radical policy to be in favor of, let alone to use as the primary reason to shut down the United States government. So the Democrats and their allies are desperately lying about their true motivations. To end this madness and vote for the clean funding bill to reopen the government. If you are an American watching at home right now, call your Democrat senators and tell them to do the right thing and end this shutdown. Good afternoon, everybody, and happy Monday. Let's get to it, and we'll begin with a few scheduling announcements today. President Trump will be hosting the Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney tomorrow for a working meeting here at the White House. On Thursday, the president will host his 8th cabinet meeting alongside his incredible team. Also on Thursday afternoon, President Trump will host the president of Finland, Alexander Stubb, for a working meeting here at the White House. The president also wanted me to relay his congratulations to Japan for electing their next prime minister, a highly respected person who also happens to be the first female to hold the position for our great ally. While President Trump continues to negotiate peace deals, meets with world leaders, and celebrates the 250th birthday of our United States Navy, as you saw he and the First Lady do just yesterday, Democrats, unfortunately, are continuing to play political games. And we are now in day 6 of the Democrat federal government shutdown. Millions of American federal workers are under enormous financial stress as a result, wondering how they will pay their bills and take care of their families. If the Democrats do not vote to open the government tonight, federal workers will not receive their next full paycheck. Additionally, the special supplemental nutrition program for women, infants, and children will run out of federal money very soon. This program provides vouchers to buy infant formula, fresh fruits and vegetables, and other healthy foods for low-income families. It can be easily fully funded if Democrats simply vote tonight to reopen the government. Also, our incredible military service members who risk their lives to preserve and defend our country are now working without pay and will miss their next paychecks if this Democrat shutdown does not end tonight. The Republican-backed clean and nonpartisan funding bill fully funds this important food aid program, gets our troops paid, and reopens the government. So all of this begs the question, what is the Democrat ongoing shutdown truly about? The sad truth, we believe, is that the Democrats intentionally shut down the government and are inflicting this pain on American citizens to try and demand free health care for illegal aliens. Of course, this is an indefensible and truly radical policy to be in favor of, let alone to use as the primary reason to shut down the United States government. So the Democrats and their allies are desperately lying about their true motivations. We have to set the record straight with the facts so the American people understand what's really at play here. House Republicans passed a clean and nonpartisan funding bill to keep the government open and ensure our troops and other hardworking Americans are paid. Every single House Democrat except one voted against this clean and nonpartisan funding bill. Senate Republicans have subsequently tried to pass this same clean funding bill 4 separate times, and they will do so again tonight. To fully pass it to be sent to the president's desk for signature, and the president is ready to sign this bill to reopen the government as soon as it is sent to his desk. Yet every single Senate Democrat except 3 have voted against this clean and nonpartisan funding bill. The Democrats' current position is that the only way the American government can reopen is if illegal aliens can get free health care. Don't take my word for it, just look at what's inside of the Democrats' proposal to reopen the government. Their funding proposal would result in nearly $200 billion spent on health care for illegal aliens and other non-citizens over the next decade. To put this in perspective, $200 billion is enough money to fund the entire children's health insurance program, which provides health insurance to low-income children and women. Under the Democrats' proposal, the millions of illegal aliens who improperly were granted asylum and paroled under the Biden administration would once again be allowed to receive Medicaid benefits. It does not end there. The Democrat proposal would also require Medicaid to pay more for emergency care provided to illegal aliens than it does for American patients who are disabled, elderly, or children. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. Costing Americans their jobs, threatening our military readiness, harming our economy, and causing chaos, all to help the illegals who broke into our country. Instead of holding illegal aliens accountable and removing them from our country, which is what this administration is trying to do every day, the Democrats want to give them the free benefits paid for by the American taxpayer. Democrats in 2025 are for illegal aliens first and Americans last. This is the reality we are unfortunately facing right now in Washington, D.C. President Trump and Republicans will not give in to these radical demands. The president and Republicans have a sacred responsibility to serve and protect the interests of their constituents, the American people. That's why we are backing a clean and nonpartisan funding bill with no strings attached to reopen the government. Democrats should do what they did 13 separate times under Joe Biden and vote for this exact same type of funding bill. Now the Senate will vote tonight for the 5th time to reopen the government on the 6th day of this shutdown. All we need are an additional 5 Democrat senators to end this madness and vote for the clean funding bill to reopen the government. If you are an American watching at home right now, call your Democrat senators and tell them to do the right thing and end this shutdown. With that, I will take your questions. Here in our new media seat today, we have Elizabeth Mitchell from the Daily Signal. Elizabeth, thanks for being here, and please kick us off.
Thank you for having me. I have 2 questions. First, President Trump told reporters yesterday that firings of federal employees are taking place right now. In which departments have people already been fired from their federal jobs due to the shutdown?
The president was referring to the hundreds of thousands of federal workers who have been furloughed as a result of this federal government shutdown, both here at the White House and across the entire federal government, at agencies across the board. There are federal workers who are staying home. Many of them work in the White House. You know them. Some of them sit just behind me at those desks. They are unable to show up to work right now because the Democrats chose to shut the government down. And so we're already, unfortunately, seeing the consequence of this. And then, of course, the Office of Management and Budget is continuing to work with agencies on who, unfortunately, is going to have to be laid off if this shutdown continues.
And Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said the FDA was required by federal law to approve the new abortion pill last week. Is the administration considering steps to undo this in light of requests from pro-life Congress members and organizations?
I think Secretary Kennedy and the Department of Health and Human Services, as I addressed in the briefing last week, were following the law, and we will continue to do so. As I said last week as well, it's not an endorsement of this drug by any means. It's just a law that they were following. Jennifer.
We heard you say that you want people to call their Democratic senators. Is the president calling Democratic senators himself? Can you say what he's doing today to resolve the shutdown?
Yep, I was just in the Oval Office. He was on the phone with Speaker Johnson. He's also spoken with the Senate Majority Leader, who are in touch with, of course, moderate Democrats and Democrats across the board, who we understand hopefully want to do the right thing by their constituents to reopen the government. So the president is being kept very well apprised of the ongoing shutdown on Capitol Hill. And of course, his position is very clear. There's nothing to negotiate, just reopen the government, and then we can talk about all the important issues facing our country.
So he hasn't called specific members of Congress?
Not to my knowledge, no.
And then on the Affordable Care Act, is he willing to give more, to share more on what he'd like to negotiate on the Affordable Care Act later? Is he willing to say specifically what he would like and when?
But look, the president is definitely committed to fixing and improving our healthcare system. You saw it again last week when he had one of the largest pharmaceutical companies in the world coming into the Oval Office and promising to lower drug prices by 200, 300, 100% in many cases for various types of drugs for American patients. That is a huge fix to a broken system that has been ripping off the American people for far too long. So the president's very committed to this. But right now, we need to reopen the federal government, and the president is remaining very firm in that position. Catherine.
If the vote fails in the Senate today to reopen the government, would that trigger layoffs?
Look, again, we hope that the vote will not fail, because This administration wants to reopen the government. We don't want to see people laid off. But unfortunately, if this shutdown continues, layoffs are going to be an unfortunate consequence of that.
Is there a timing for when that would happen?
Well, look, we'll see how the vote goes tonight.
And can you confirm, is the White House floating a proposal to cap Obamacare subsidies by denying them to new enrollees?
I have not seen a proposal like that. Emily.
Thanks, Caroline. The president said yesterday he was considering a phase 2 approach to Venezuela. Is the president considering U.S. boots on the ground or any kind of support of overthrowing Maduro?
I won't get into any specific proposals that are being considered by the president and his national security team, but I think we've been pretty transparent and clear in the administration's view of the illegitimate Maduro regime, and the president has taken very unprecedented, tough action to end the illegal trafficking of illicit drugs into our country from Maduro's illegitimate regime.
Karoline.
Danny, go ahead.
Thanks, Caroline. The French government has collapsed again for the fourth time in a year. And I was just wondering if there's any concern in the White House about the kind of ongoing political crisis there, and any thought about whether the President Trump's good friend, President Macron, should either call elections or even resign over that.
Well, I can tell you the White House and the National Security Council are very much aware of this situation, but I think it would be imprudent of me to weigh in on French internal politics from the podium, so I will reserve comment on that. Behind you, yes.
What is President Trump's expectations for talks today and I guess this week in Egypt? And is there a new timeline that the president is giving all sides to reach an agreement?
Yes, there are technical talks happening right now in Egypt amongst Special Envoy Witkoff and Mr. Kushner, as well as their respective parties from all sides. What we saw take place on Friday, and I have not commented on that from the podium yet, is truly remarkable. You've seen all sides of this conflict agree that this war needs to end and agree to the 20-point framework that President Trump proposed. It's an incredible achievement, and the administration is working very hard to move the ball forward as quickly as we can. The president wants to see a ceasefire. He wants to see the hostages released, and the technical teams are discussing that as we speak to ensure that the environment is perfect to release those hostages. They're going over the lists of both the Israeli hostages and also the political prisoners who will be released, and those talks are underway, and the president is very much on the ball and is being apprised of this situation.
The president has given a Sunday evening deadline. Obviously, the negotiations have extended that, I imagine. What is that new deadline? Does the president have a time frame in mind to see this phase implemented?
Well, the Sunday evening deadline was to hear back from Hamas on the proposal one way or another. And of course, on Friday, Hamas put out a very clear statement in the president's view that they accept the president's framework, and that's why those technical talks are now underway. But again, we want to move very quickly on this, and the president wants to see the hostages released as soon as possible. Steve.
How long do you expect those technical talks to last, Caroline?
I don't want to draw a red line up here, Steve. Of course, it's very important, as I just mentioned, that we get this done quickly. That's how the president's team feels, so we can get some momentum, get the hostages out, and then move to the next part of this, which is really ensuring that we can create a lasting and durable peace in Gaza, and ensure that Gaza is a place that no longer threatens the security of Israel or the United States.
What do you expect to be on the agenda for the president's meeting with the Prime Minister of Canada tomorrow?
I'm sure trade will be a topic of discussion tomorrow, and all of the other issues that are facing both Canada and the United States. I know the president looks forward to having that discussion with Carney in the Oval Office.